Hi, I'm Renee. I'm the mother to a beautiful little girl who's going to be 5 this year. After her birth in 2016, I was diagnosed with postnatal psychosis, anxiety and depression. What I thought should have been one of the most happy, exciting times of my life was actually one of the darkest and hardest times I've ever been through. If I'm really honest, my struggle started while I was pregnant. My mother was actually diagnosed with terminal cancer, and a week later I found out I was pregnant. So my whole pregnancy was covered by that cloud, and my mum passed away when I was almost 6 months pregnant. At the time, I just threw myself back into my work and thought, I'll be fine, it's grief, I'll get over it. And because I kind of thought that's what you should do. Here I was pregnant, expecting a baby. You're supposed to be happy, right? So I kind of let a lot of shoulds of how I should be feeling sort of guide my behaviour at the time, really, when I think back. I did actually go and see a perinatal psychologist at the time because I thought I should go and see someone. I've lost my mum, I'm about to have a baby, I need to talk to someone about this. The psychologist session was actually really good, but at the time she actually told me that she was quite concerned I was at a really high risk of developing postnatal anxiety and depression, and wanted me to keep coming back and seeing her so we could work on a few things before my daughter's birth. Now at the time I'm putting my hand up and saying I was not one that understood mental health. I could not understand why people couldn't just get up and get over it, really. I'd never had any issues with my own personal mental health up until that point. So I was really, when she told me this, I was really closed-minded, closed off. I was like, how dare you tell me how I'm going to feel? I'll be fine. So I left that appointment and never went back. So hindsight is a wonderful thing. Looking back now, I can see what a mistake that was. I struggled very badly, obviously, after my daughter was born. So experienced a very traumatic birth of my daughter with a lot of interventions which I wasn't prepared for. Here I was, someone that had never gone to hospital for anything in my life before, and pretty much had the whole gauntlet of everything thrown at me. So it was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And straight away, after I was in recovery, after theatre, after my daughter's birth, I knew something was not right. I became really fearful and anxious and had some really, really terrifying visions of my daughter coming to harm, and that I was the one doing those things to her. The best way I can describe it is it's like my mind finally couldn't cope with it all. It couldn't cope with the death of my mum, the birth of my daughter, and such a traumatic physical experience that it just shattered, and it came back together again, but not in the right way. And it was absolutely terrifying. I was very, very lucky. I feel grateful that I was able to put my hand up straight away and know my mind and myself well enough to say something is not right. So I had help straight away. The very next day, I had a mental health crisis team at my bedside with the head midwives and doctors in charge, coming up with a plan of how we were going to help me get through it. I can't say, though, that was very easy. That was probably, I'm going to get emotional now, the absolute lowest point in my life. Having to tell these people that I didn't want to be around my newborn daughter who was a day old because I was too scared I was going to hurt her, was the most absolute lowest point in my life. I felt like an absolute monster. Excuse me. So we spent a little bit of time in hospital and then spent a couple of weeks at home. They were really hard days. The thoughts of harming my daughter actually turned into thoughts of harming myself. I just thought she'd be better off without me, and she deserved a hell of a lot better. Lucky though, after 2 weeks, I managed to gain a place in a mother and baby unit, and we spent almost a couple of months in there, my daughter and I. And slowly but surely, I gained confidence in caring for my daughter. I was very determined to breastfeed because I felt that was my way of keeping connected to her. And I'm really glad I pushed through with that, and we had a positive experience, because I feel like that really helped solidify our relationship. During my time at the mother and baby unit, my husband was allowed to come and visit and take me out on, shopping trips, things that you'd sort of normally do with a baby, to try and build my confidence of being out in public with her, being around her, managing all the things, a stroller and nappy bag and all that fun stuff. But it's all, when you're suffering like from anxiety and depression, just the most simplest things can be the hardest. I remember my husband taking the dogs for a walk during those 2 weeks when I was at home, and my little girl had a punami, and that was enough I just got so paralyzed with anxiety and fear. I was ringing him on the mobile. I think he got like 30 missed calls from me. Like, I just couldn't even deal with a pooey nappy. Like, I look back now and think, oh my God, who was that person? One of these trips we were allowed out from the mother and baby unit. We went to a shopping centre just to buy some new clothes for our little girl, and there was just a little onesie there that had a cute teddy bear picture on it, and all it said is, "My mummy loves me." And getting emotional again. So that simple little saying, "My mummy loves me," it was like a light bulb went on in my head, and I was like, of course I love her. Like, underneath everything and all the turmoil and anxiety, depression, fear, there's love. It was like this bright light in the dark of my mind, and exactly what I needed to read and to see. And I bought that onesie, and she might have worn it pretty much nearly every day after that, because it was a really fantastic affirmation for me, and one that really changed the course of my recovery, and something so simple, and actually inspired me to launch my own business last year, Mother Dear. And I use my own artwork. I've always been a creative person, and I now create artwork and print it on baby, kids and women's clothes to help inspire and uplift other mums with positive messages in their lives too. So at the time, I was going through my hardest days. My relationships around me were really impacted, basically because I pushed everybody away, even my husband. I just felt no one could understand what I was going through. And that also tied in a lot with losing my mum. Friends at the time that had kids had their mums, and I was just really jealous and angry about that. So I pushed everybody away, which looking back is not the right thing to do. I would really encourage any of you, any mum or dad that is, not finding joy or feeling good within their parenting journey, to put your hand up. There is nothing wrong in saying that, I'm not feeling right about this, I need help. And I think that's something kind of in our society and the way we're taught maybe to be parents, that you've got to do all the things yourself and you've got to be independent, and you're a woman, you've had a baby, you just get back to work and do all the things, and you can be a yummy mummy and all of that. But when you think about it, having a baby, you've grown this life inside you for 9 months. It is such a physical thing, whatever your birth experience, to birth a baby. And I don't think we honour that enough, or the process of becoming a mother and your physical recovery after that. So I think that's really important, to be kind to yourself. And who cares if you've been in your pajamas for the last 3 days? Who cares? Like, they're really, we're so judgmental of each other, and I think we can be our own worst enemies, being so hard on us sometimes. So my recovery has been a continual roller coaster journey. I think after you've been through something like I have, there's no point that you reach that all of a sudden you feel better. But you know, you learn a lot along the way. I've definitely learnt my triggers and warning signs now. I still have days where I feel really anxious. You know, having to organise a little person as well can test my patience and bring out anxious moments within me to this day. I do know now, sometimes I still have a lot of fearful thoughts about my daughter coming to harm, but I do know now that a thought doesn't mean an action. But I actually use that as a bit of a sign that, okay, I've done too much, I need to take a step back. So I actually see it as a positive thing now, because it is a little red flag waving to me to take note of, that I go, okay, I'm having these thoughts again. I need to take a step back, regroup, look after myself better, and then I can be a better mother to my daughter as well. I guess what I would tell my youngest self is life is never going to be a perfect way, and I especially think we attach a lot of those things to motherhood, that we think it's going to be a certain way, and if it's not, then it's the end of the world. And there is no right and wrong. So however you need to get through your day, whatever you need to do, that, like I said before, the hardest critics of ourselves are ourselves. So be kind to yourself. From someone that's been right in the darkest depths to where I am now, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a big bloody light, and you will get there. And you just need to put your hand up, ask for help. And there are people out there that have been exactly where you are. You're not alone, and don't think that there's anything wrong with you. That's the one big takeaway from this too. Just because you need help doesn't mean that you're weak, and you're a strong and beautiful mother. And no matter what you're going through, there's people out there that can relate. You're not alone, and you will get through this. And there is that big light at the end of the tunnel. So I wish you all the best. Thank you for listening to my story, and you have a great day. Bye.